Hey everyone, Scorpius here and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into multiple ways that you can stack up on currency in Path of Exile 2. Whether it's boosting your chances of finding valuable drops or leveraging passive methods to rack up Exalted and Divine Orbs, I'm gonna cover it all. Right now my Monk's gear is worth around 110 Divines, and as you can see I've got a few hundred Exalted Orbs and some extra Divines to spare. So whatever it is that I'm doing, it's working. So let's start things off with something very obvious but often overlooked. Simply play the game. No matter how many best currency farming videos you watch, if you're spending most of your time idling in your hideout, you're not going to make much progress. Running maps, defeating bosses, and actually engaging with content will always be one of the most consistent ways to stack loot. Flipping items through the trading site and/or gambling for bigger items are definitely good ways to make some extra profit, but those methods only work if you really understand Path of Exile's 2 economy and how to exploit opportunity cost. But let's be real, most of us aren't expert traders. Personally, I'm not great at it, and chances are you might not be either. So while flipping and gambling is an option, active gameplay is still the most reliable way to earn currency for the majority of the players. Another option I see a lot of people talking about is converting currency. Personally, I don't find conversion of currency a way that you profit or gain extra currency. It just doesn't make sense to me. You don't gain something extra, you simply convert the same value between two items. So selling 220 Exalted Orbs for 1 Divine doesn't automatically mean that you just made 1 Divine. You simply converted its value on Exalted Orbs. You still had to grind your way to collecting 220 Exalted Orbs. So sitting in your hideout trying to figure out ways to convert all of your basic currencies to better ones is far less productive than just running maps and playing the actual game. And another very small and obvious one that might be slightly overlooked is getting yourself a good loot filter. The game is out for long enough, the majority of the players should already have a loot filter, but if you don't, then you can check out this guide right here. Loot filter is there to minimize the clutter in your screen so you can see the better drops and get them, progress, and move on faster. Okay, so with all of those out of the way, let's actually talk about the most important stuff now. And one of the big ones is understanding item stats and modifiers. One of the most crucial skills for making more currency. Recognizing which loot is worth keeping and which to discard will save you time, currency, and significantly boost your profits. As you progress and start getting more valuable drops, whether from bosses or regular encounters, having a scroll of wisdom ready in your inventory to quickly identify items is essential. If the item has solid potential, you keep it. If not, you drop it and you move on. For early game players, salvaging and disenchanting everything can be worthwhile, as you'll need crafting materials later on. But deeper into the endgame, you'll want to be more selective. Many basic currency items like Orbs of Transmutation, Augmentation, and Regal Orbs drop frequently and can even be exchanged for Exalted Orbs. So how do you tell if an item is actually good? Well, you need to look for prime modifiers. The stats that make an item valuable and have the potential to become even better with further crafting. These include things like core attributes like intelligence, strength, dexterity, damage boosting modifiers like cold damage, fire damage, physical damage, spell damage, and so on, additional skill levels, increased rarity, fire, cold, lightning, and chaos resistances, as well as elemental resistance, mana and life gains, and a few more. Some other modifiers, such as reduced chill duration, stun threshold, or reduced attribute requirement, could be useful to some builds, but they usually lower an item's overall value most of the time. Take these boots as an example. If they had plus 26 dexterity instead of plus 26 stun threshold, and 50% resistance to any kind of element instead of chill duration, they would be significantly more valuable and would sell for a much higher price. The more you analyze patterns, the better you'll get at recognizing good loot and making smart decisions. And beyond just modifiers, tier levels also play a huge role in an item's value. Each modifier rolls within a random tier range, determining how strong the stat actually is. I'm not entirely sure how to check this on console, but on PC you want to hold Alt while hovering over an item to see additional details. And even though I know that this might sound a little bit complicated at first, but once you do it a few times, it becomes second nature. Don't stress over a few miscalculations, it's part of the learning process. Misjudging an item's value is very common, and you have no idea how many times I've done it. And I'm pretty sure I have a lot of things in my stash right now that are not worth what I think that they are worth. But every mistake helps you improve. How I personally do it is I run a few maps and filter out potentially valuable items. Shortlist the ones with good modifiers and crafting potential, then stash them away for a later review. When I need a break from grinding my maps, I go back to the same stash, price check everything, craft if necessary, and then sell. You can figure out a way that works for you, but mastering these fundamentals will drastically increase your currency gain over time. Another passive way to increase your loot quality is by stacking the rarity on items found modifier. Supposedly, the more you have, the better your chances of getting higher tier and more valuable drops. While some people suggest stacking rarity up to 200 or 300%, there is more and more data coming out that soft capping rarity to 120 or 150% is more than enough. So rather than overcommitting to rarity, you want to simply aim for a soft cap and then use other passive ways that increase your loot and quality chance rather than weakening your build. And one of the prime ways to do that is our next point: understanding the endgame atlas tree. Based on what you want to achieve in the game, you can shape up this atlas tree accordingly. Since this is a currency farming and better ways to find the currency you need, we will look at this atlas tree build which focuses on exactly that. I experimented with multiple different trees to find the best one for me, and this one had the best result. I might be mistaken, but I think this version was created by Fubgun, so if that's the case, then a huge shout out to him for putting this together. So what we have here is a few great benefits for our maps. We have a total of 20% increased rarity of items through these nodes right here, which increases the potential quality of our loot. We then have a total of 15% increased pack size with these nodes right here, which means more monsters to kill, therefore more chance for loot. We have an increase of 15% of rare monsters we find, which will definitely increase the items we get through our runs. We get a 32% increase of quantity of waystones we find, so we can never run out of maps to run. A 30% increase on tablets we get, so we can never run out of them for our towers. And an 8% increase in quality of items that we find through lucky pillage. The rest of the tree focuses heavily on empowering our waystones and our tablets to increase the quality of both so we can have better and harder maps, which result in an insane increase of loot. But the most important thing, other than the atlas tree, is one specific modifier: quantity of items found. In combination with this atlas tree, quantity of items found should be the main modifier that you look for in your maps. Those are the only maps that you want to be running. The same applies to your tablets. You want to empower every single tower with quantity of items found and stack them up. This is by far the better option for more loot and more currency. An alternative to this would be increased rares found, but nothing comes close to quantity of items found. The way that I've been doing things is by going through multiple towers and adding tablets with as much quantity of items found on them as possible. After doing this a few times, I'll get maps that have 50, 60, or even 100% quantity of items found. Then I run all of those with fully juiced up tier 15 maps with even more quantity of items found on them. With a combination of this strategy and the atlas tree, I'm constantly getting new maps, new tablets, 10 to 20 exalted orbs per run, divines, perfect jeweler's orbs, and a lot more. But some great tips that I wish that I knew with this strategy is that your maps don't necessarily need to be tier 15. You can run tier 13 or tier 14 as long as you have high quantity of items found. Because remember, our aim is to get more currency. If in case you don't have any of them with that modifier, then running maps with high rarity, more monster density, or more rares is okay too. Those are going to be the maps that we're going to use on our way from tower to tower. If you have a few with increased rarity or more rare monsters, then that could be a good alternative, but for any other tablets, you simply want to reforge them for more tablets and rinse and repeat this process until you get the modifiers that we want. These are the best organic tools and actions I've been doing that have been working for me perfectly. All of these methods allow me to continue playing the game and grind maps while organically finding more loot and more currency without having to go out of my way for specific currency farming sessions. So if you have any questions or want to share your opinion, feel free to use the comment section down below, and as always, I'm gonna read and answer to every single comment. If this guide helped you out in any way, then consider supporting the channel by liking this video and subscribing so you can stay tuned for more content like this one. Thank you very much for watching this video. Here are 2 more guides that you might enjoy. See you on the next one. Peace.